Good evening, friends. Good evening, dads. Good evening, moms. The very funniest thing tonight, I'm joined by Dediko Keito, and the other half of the show is not here, so I'm sitting in again. Welcome to your own show, Dediko Keito.
Thanks, Daisy. Good evening, dads and moms out there. Welcome to Heart with Dads. I'm Dedike Koketso as introduced, and it's not my show, Daisy. We flying together on this one.
I hear you, Teddy. Yeah. I'm glad to see that last week the show or the topic kind of got you honoring your own appointments.
Yes. I got inspired by the show, and I had made a birthday gift promise to my son, and yeah, the very next day, I went out there and honored it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very happy. He's very happy.
And how has it been since then?
He's been wanting to drive his car ever since. Even now, it's about to rain, but hey, he wants his car.
Yo.
Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Yeah.
Ah.
And
Oh,
what about you, Daddy Z? Any form of inspiration from the show last week?
I think with me, it has more been an issue of being conscious of 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 the promises that I make.
Mm,
Um, so I'm careful not to make promises I will not keep.
mhm.
Those that I've made, I've had to make sure that I keep them. So it's kind of like a very interesting challenge yourself, but it's a challenge worthy of taking up, I believe.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay,
And I
that's
think it
that's
also leads,
powerful.
yeah, and I think it also leads us to what we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we do that, we have to acknowledge one of our own, Terry Bernard, with the arrival of his little one. Yeah, it's an exciting
Yes,
time, eh?
yes, yes, yes. Congrats, Daddy B. Yo, I'm jealous.
Ne?
Very cute, very cute. Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. We just want to say congratulations to you, Terry Bernard. Yeah, I think he's a very interesting daddy. If you meet him on Twitter, you would think he's one fella, and then you get to know him in person. You get to know him as a dad, and he's an amazing guy. Eh?
Mm,
And that we also have him as part of our dads in the picture fold. That just makes a big difference. So we just wanted to acknowledge our own Daddy Bernard and say, hey, um, welcome to the little one, Ububuntle Sithole.
Welcome, B.
Yeah. I think now he has certain roles that he'll have to fulfill. And that's going to be another one. Part of that role is the sleepless nights, especially with the arrival of a little one. The endless nights when they're crying and doing all sorts of stuff, not only leaving it up to mommy, but just
Yes.
I think there's one thing that we have a misconception about, Daddy, and that is whenever there's a baby that has just arrived in the family, we think that we have to assist the mother,
Very true. Very true.
as though it's not our child.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like I'm not part of it. So hey, mommy, I'll come and assist, but don't expect me to be there.
Yes. I think it's what we've seen and grown up with. It's part of our upbringing to assume that as a dad, you are in the backseat. What is your role as our topic today? We tend to assume a role of assisting, as you said, only standing up when mommy can't, not doing it first,
Yeah,
assuming that mommy is the one to be at the forefront when it comes to the young ones, and we are there to pick up anything that drops instead of lifting everything and letting her pick up what drops.
that's true. That's true. And I think that's one thing that needs to change. But I think it starts way even before the baby arrives.
Mm,
I think it starts the moment you know that you're pregnant. You are then there in the forefront. First appointment, and every appointment thereafter. Your role is to be there with her. Your role is not even it is to support during the pregnancy, but also to learn as much as you can, especially when it's your first time.
mm,
Because the one thing as dads that we tend to do, we tend to say, okay, she's pregnant, she's gonna go to the gynae alone. I'll just get feedback from her. I don't have to suffer the inconvenience of work just to honor the appointment. I can easily cancel the appointment for work. I can easily
mm,
cancel the appointment for other things, but not really for this. I can't cancel everything else for this. So I think
mm.
our role have to change in such a manner that we move towards understanding that this is something we cannot compromise on, especially from that start going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. And we miss out on so much in taking that back seat. I realized that when my son, we were pregnant with him, with all the trips to the appointments, as you're saying, and the scans and all those during pregnancy. I only became present then, with our last, and it made me realize on what a journey it is, and what it is that we're really missing out on, and we need to take
Mm.
it to the next level and actually be there as you're explaining it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think another thing is there's something that I read, and maybe I'd like us to talk to. Something that
Okay.
I read some time ago, um, looking into the the male and female, how they seek or search or make a decision on a prospective partner.
Mm,
So what I read was the woman or the female, what she would do is when she looks at the male or the prospective male, she looks at firstly his physique, né? And when looking at his physique, she's thinking, is he able to protect me? Can I find comfort in that this guy will protect me? And then there's the issue of intellect, power, ability to get money. So she's thinking, will this guy be able to provide going forward? Will he be able to kind of sustain us, myself and my and the children, especially
mhm,
while she is taking care of the young ones.
mm,
Then obviously again with the physique, she's looking at the ability to go out there and hunt. But that was then. I think
mm,
right now would be to look at how healthy this guy is, how healthy is this male. Um, does he look like somebody who can contribute healthy genes to our children? Now, on
mm,
the other side, as dads or as males, what we look at when we look at a female, we look at I read this that we look at the hips. So the hips kind of tell us that she's fertile. She'll be able to bear children. That is in our most basic nature. Will she be able to bear children? and then we look at the breasts and the ability to feed or nurse the children while we are out there. We look at those things, and then also the issue of beauty. But what we're looking at, so beauty is when we look at someone and kind of when we and this is amazing how we unconsciously do this. They say for someone to be beautiful, they have to be, when you look at them in a symmetrical kind of view, the left side and the right side have to be kind of almost perfectly aligned, and certain features have to be there, not too big, not too small. Things have to be complementary on the face. Sure, it doesn't tell you much, but it then says, how will our children look like? So that's what we look at. And it's our just basic human nature. We do that. And these days we do it unconsciously. We look at a lady and then we suss her out. We think, okay, she looks like she's fertile. She looks at us and then she engages in conversation. If you speak something, then it's like, I don't want my children to be like that as well. So we're always kind of thinking for our children going forward.
Yes.
And therein comes the role of the male or the role of the dad once the children are there.
Powerful, Daddy.
Yeah.
From these points that you've listed, I'm curious, and I'll ask you your take.
Yeah.
What a male see, what we as males see in females. Is this article capturing what you think we actually do see, or is it more in general, or is it too broad a description of what we actually do see? What is your view on this?
I don't know if you can still hear me or whether it's my network or something. But
Yeah, it was a bit off, but I think back.
okay. So I think in our most basic human nature, it tells us exactly of who we are, how we look at each other and what we think of each other when we see each other. Because if you think about it, honestly, this thing yoguthi angifuni uchero omubi, you know, what makes you say, or what makes you think that you don't want an ugly person? Similarly, some women do that, and if not most. And then you come and you look at the guys with the money, but they don't have the looks. They tend to get even the hottest women, and it's all because the money. And I think today we've also misunderstood the nature of a woman to think and look out for her offspring, in that she looks at someone who has money and then she thinks, okay, this guy has the ability to provide, and therefore she gravitates toward him. And then we later
get there and say yes. I
yeah,
think you spoke to the one point of being able to provide and sustain. So the female nature that you explained came out there. That one point of being able to provide for her, she actually focuses on it, and as you put it, money and the hottest women.
yeah. I think that's basically how a woman would think, and why she would gravitate towards money, because she's thinking, yes, this guy does have the ability to provide. Even though some guys tend to have like the most crappiest of personalities, because they think that money substitutes. It doesn't. I think those are the things that we can talk about at some other point in time.
Yes.
And then again comes this concept of a dad or a male being able to provide. You know, the aspect of provision, I think no matter how much we can try and talk it away from the primary responsibilities of a male or of a dad, but it is there intrinsically within us. Some of us may say that, no, I'm okay when I don't have a job. But when they don't have the ability to provide, and then you think, okay, you don't have the ability to provide, and then maybe the dad wins millions through lotto or gets a windfall, and then has lots of money. His demeanor changes. He is more happy to provide than just not being the provider. Even though he won't have any issue with money in the house being the provider, when he cannot, or being a co-provider. But when he has the means, he still feels like he has to be the one. I think if you were to look at most couples where affordability is not an issue, the bond usually comes out of the husband's bank account.
Spot on.
Right? I've had I don't know.
I wouldn't say
it was a joke or
100% of the times, but I think the majority of the time that is the case. And I think we should also make it a point to actually clear one thing up as well. We spoke of money as an attraction. I think there should also be a disclaimer that we're not saying that all the time money is an attraction. We're saying that there is a trend that follows towards that.
Yeah.
You can continue there.
Yeah.
I was just making that.
It's a gravitation towards money. I think we're all kind of pulled towards money, or towards the person who has the money. That's why when you don't have money, you don't have a lot of friends. But once you have money, it brings with it friends, in inverted commas.
Yes.
And when that money then dries up, then the friends are gone again. So, hey, money plays an issue. Money plays a role, I mean, and at times it tends to play a bigger role than we think.
Yes, steady. Correct. And on the point of one of the attracting points, you spoke of health. As you spoke about the article that you read, you spoke of power, the ability to provide, and health. What aspect of health would that be? That would be an attraction to females.
I think when you look healthy, it then gives the impression that you have healthy genes, right? And therefore you can pass on those genes to the children that you bear with her. And that's what she's intrinsically thinking about, or that's what she's assessing. So when you don't look healthy, there has to be something that will come. Maybe you're very handsome, or you are moneyed. You know, those are the things that a female will consider. Then we move maybe to other aspects. Let's say even the issue of health, and especially in the home or in society. I think the role of the dad has been very undervalued, and the dads themselves don't know what big role they can play in society. We've underestimated the importance of us being in the picture. You know, we've kind of abdicated our role to, okay, the woman is in the house, so it's fine. Boku and whoever else, we've kind of gravitated towards saying, okay, yes, we do have a support structure around us, so that support structure must then take care of our children. That support structure must then take care of everything else that is supposed to be our responsibility. We as dads have the responsibility, and our role is to teach in the home. At times we may be too heavy-handed. We may lack patience, but where we do have those, we become good teachers. And also another disclaimer I want to put out there, just in case then the conversation gets taken out of context, is that when we are talking about the role of the dad, we are not saying the role of the dad is competing against the role of the mother, or the role of the mother is less important. The conversation is directed towards the dad, what the role of the dad is, not even looking at the mother or anyone else, but let's just focus the conversation on his role and the part that he can play or should play.
Yeah. And it's very important that you see what you just said there. We are highlighting the role of the dad, seeing the lack of it, not seeing it as more important, but seeing the lack of it, or rather advocating for the presence of it.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we have to also emphasize, Didi, excuse me, is that there have been studies, there's been research where it concludes that the role of the dad plays a very important part in a child's psychosocial development. It plays a very important part in how a child gets to perform at school, how their confidence levels develop when they are engaging in society. And I think those dads who are not there, and this is again putting aside parental alienation, those dads who are not there by choice or through other circumstances that they've chosen not to be there, it then also plays another big role in their child's development. So we want to kind of say, Dad, your role is that important that you cannot miss it. You cannot be sleeping on the steering wheel. You need to be there, even if it's a few hours a day or a few hours a week. If things are really difficult for you, touching base with a child, encouraging them, teaching them, helping them move, helping them grow, it plays a very big role.
Yes, when one parent is not there, being it the dad or the mom, the child misses out on that part. We tend to forget that we are trying to build this holistic human being by removing that one part. So if you're not there as a dad, you are robbing the child of that part, be it by choice or not. The child is missing out on that part of their growth, as you're saying. There are some complete people, I'll use the term complete, that didn't have a parent, one of their parents, or both of them in some instances. But as you mentioned, studies do show that it's more important to be present and be there and not rob the child, because you do deprive them of that path when you are not there.
Yeah. So, Didi, let me then pose this question to you.
Yes.
So we've spoken about the role of the dad in a child's life, but do you think a dad has any role in the wellness maybe in the overall wellness of the partner, the spouse, or the wife?
Yes, definitely. It's a closed loop, if I may put it that way. That partner, that spouse, was also a child at some stage, and they had a dad, which was either present or not. And those expectations that they'll have of you will, in most cases, be brought on but by what they experienced growing up. So your role there as a dad will also have to complement your partner. Um, you will have to, as a dad, play a role that reassures your partner. You'll have to play a role that teaches them that you can both work towards a healthy relationship. You'll have to play a role that shows that you are part of a partnership and not there as a dictator, or if I may put it that way, pushing things the way that you would want to. I think those are the points that I'll mention right now. You can add on, Teddy.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's very important. And I think that there's another thing. I don't know if you've heard of it or noticed it. So at this point, you are married, right?
Yes.
How much of your father-in-law's character or personality do you have?
That's a tough one. I have unfortunately not met him, but what I hear from my wife is that I'm not too far off, especially the, if I may say, I wouldn't say, sure, I'm looking for the right word. The stricter side of it. I'm more closer to him on that part, and I'm more firm, or as firm as closely firm as to what he was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how much of your mother do you see in your wife?
Sure. Why do you have to put me on the spot like that?
No, don't worry. There's a method to the madness.
Okay. Quite a lot actually. She knows what I need. She takes care of me. She knows what I'm down without even saying it. She can read me. Like my mother would. Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing that
I was speaking of the aspects that are interrelationship between me and her, not towards our children. I was mentioning things
yeah,
that are between us.
yeah. So the reason I'm asking that is because we often, when we look for a partner, and this is another unconscious or subconscious thing that we do, we look for our parents in our spouse or in our potential partner. We, for example, she would have seen the qualities of her father in you, hence gravitating then towards you or being attracted to you, and eventually getting married to you. You would have seen the qualities of your mother in her ability to just see you and just perceive that you are not okay, and because that related to how your mother treated you, then you gravitated towards that. So why I'm asking all of this is that it's one of the things that we need to be conscious of as dads. We need to be aware that our children, or maybe our daughters, will look for us in their partners. So whatever it is that we are living as an example to them, or demonstrating as an example to them, is what they will look for. So when we set the bar low in terms of the standards and the behavior of how a man should be, of what a man should do around the house, or what a dad should be, they will look for that in a partner or in their husband. If we are absent, if we are abusive, if we are vulgar, the moment they see that in their partner, they'll be comfortable with it because they know that dad has been like that. So this is how men actually are. I'm used to it, to this, and I'm comfortable with this. Therefore, I'm going to stay with this. But when we've raised the bar high and we are active around the home, we are not just passengers. We don't cruise. We don't assist, but we take part in the running of the home. As soon as they see that in another guy outside, they will recognize it because then the bar is high. If they see somebody doing less than that, it's a deal breaker for them because they can clearly say, my dad didn't do that. I know what a man should be. And even setting the example of authority, what kind of authority figure are you in the home? Are you a dictator? Are you democratic? You know, all those different styles. Whatever type of authority that you set, or are you just a go-lucky where children get away with anything and they put that into the world and they don't have any respect for authority in their lives? It's because it started in the home. When the father is absent and they cannot learn what a father looks like, and there's no one around to model what being a dad is all about, or what a dad looks like, they will go through their lives not knowing it, and they will keep searching for it, and without at times finding it. And sometimes others, when they find it, they will not receive it because they don't know it. You know, you can't accept that which you don't know. It's foreign to you, no matter how good it can be. So that's the role we play in modeling fatherhood, in modeling husband, in modeling a lover to our daughters. Similarly, to our sons, we also need to do the same. How do we model manhood? How do we model fatherhood to our sons? We need to again set the bar high so that when they get to make their own decisions, when they get to a point where they are living their own life, they have a bar or a standard that dad has set, and it's so high that they're trying to live up to it or even surpass it. But again, in doing that, we also need to be gracious in how we raise our children. Derimish likes to say, we must not seek to raise perfect children, but we must raise children perfectly.
Nugget.
Ne?
Yeah.
And at times I never really kind of understood it. But when you think about it, there are ways to raise children perfectly. And that is just for both parents to be there to do their best at all times, whether they are living together or whether they are separate, but both parents need to be active parents. They need to be modeling positive parenthood.
And it's about the child, not the parent. It's about the child.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's been me. So I'd like to hear your thoughts, Teddy.
You sort of kept it going very nicely there. I was hoping you wouldn't stop. You spoke about raising the bar and authority. Sure. it triggered something in my mind. What happens when a parent, it might be a topic for another day, but it just raises question, where you are you are raising this child to the best of your ability, trying to do it perfectly, setting the right levels of respect and trust and love, and raising that bar really high, and then when it's their turn to be a parent, they drop that bar. What would you think is being done to experience that level of dropping the bar, if I may put it that way? What would be the issue in that case?
I think it involves coaching. And I think that's the role as dads that we also need to handle: coaching and mentoring. If you think of a sports coach, maybe soccer, the coach is on the sidelines and the players are in the field. He's constantly there, right? Sometimes telling the one, pass the ball to that one, or push the ball, or play the ball, do this, constantly guiding the players in the field. But as well, the coach takes the team through training, preparing them for the field. The coach then has to have the strategy, the guide, all of those things, assess the opponent and do all sorts of things so that when they get to the field, they know who they are playing against. Now, how does that talk to a dad? A dad also needs to be aware of the environment outside of the home. And when in the home, train his children to know how to be, how to engage with the world out there. He needs to be able to say, at this day and age, social media is a very toxic place. How do I equip my children such that when they find themselves out there in the social media space, how do they engage or how do they navigate this field? And then you don't hold them back, right, from being active in those spaces. You let them go out there, but when they are out there, you observe and then you coach. No, don't respond like that to those kind of things. Don't do this. Try to do this. Look for other opportunities. Try maybe and differentiate yourself in how you engage. Try to limit who you allow into your social media space. So you are coaching both in the home and out there. When they are at school, you have coached them in the home on how to kind of conduct themselves. You almost become like a cricket coach. The cricket coach, you never see him or her on the field when the players are out there, right? But the coach is now far back on the stands or in the booth. He or she is there just watching the game. The players then have to do what they're supposed to do. So it almost becomes like that. Then when they are in places like school or engaging just freely out there, you would have had to equip them so that they are able then to do that for themselves.
Yeah. So the lesson from that is, don't hammer it in. Coach them to become it. Don't force it in. Don't assume that by just doing something, that your child is inherently absorbing that. Coach them and show them and make them appreciate the effort it takes to do it. It's not automatic. You put in the effort to do it.
Yeah, it's never automatic.
Yes. So they need to learn it. We need to teach them, to show that, to see it, to appreciate that it takes effort. It's not automatic. It's not that just because you are a father or a dad, then automatically you'll be unconditionally loving your children.
Yes.
There is an
Yeah.
article that I read, Teddy. It speaks of 10 aspects of being a great father, or traits of being a great father. I think it plays a role, or it describes the role of a parent rather than just a father or a dad. The first point speaks of teaching your children to appreciate things. I think I alluded to it when responding to what you just spoke about. We need to a father or a parent needs to teach their children that the appreciation of things. For example, you work for things. A child can't just ask for something and they receive it. We have to teach them the value of things so that they appreciate it, the effort that goes into acquiring things. The second point speaks of being open, or us accepting that our children would not be the same. Each person is an individual. In appreciating that, we'll understand that there'll be different levels and standards as to how our different children perform. So we can't hammer or expect the same results from different children. It also speaks of a third point. It says that a parent or a father or dad must accept that his children aren't exactly like him. We tend to, as parents, impose our own standards, or our own likes, or our own interests on our children. The fourth point speaks of spending quality with the children. In doing that, we get to learn the likes and dislikes, and you'll find how fascinating a human being your child is when you spend time with them. It's the most awesome experience. And I think you spoke of it earlier on, the absence of fatherhood, or the role father, or being present as just a dad, but not actually spending time with your children. Be existing as a father rather than experiencing that role. The article speaks also about leading by example. You spoke of showing the children. You spoke of showing your children what a good dad should be like, or good parent should act like. So if you lead by example, and I can't remember which camp it was. Someone was speaking in one of the talks about, if for example, if you expect your children to wake up in the morning at 5 and get ready, wake up with them. Lead, show them that you are also part of it. Don't wake up at 8 when they're ready to go to school just to drop them off. Get up with them, get ready with them, have breakfast with them, be part of it, play along as well, rather not play, but be
Yes.
part of it. The next point speaks of being supportive and loyal, no matter how bad it gets. You spoke of coaching. Your child might not be the best soccer player out there, but understand that there's lessons to be learned other than scoring that goal. Be there, support your child, let them experience it, expose them to as much as possible, be loyal to them even in failure. Show them that you are there for them. In future, that will repay you. You will be able to be that supportive parent. They'll be able to come to you and share whatever failures or problems they have. They won't be scared of your scolding if anything goes wrong. The article spoke also of challenging your children. This is a tough one. Where do you draw the line? Yeah, there was Daddy Prince, whose son was at the Olympics. I think it was last year or the year before. It was the year before COVID.
Yeah.
Sure. In that situation where I think he came second, where do you draw the line of the challenge? Is the challenge done when they reach that bar? We need to always push them, but I think know that there should be a limit to it. The article also spoke of showing unconditional love date. I think you also touched on it with the previous points. There is no perfect human being, and even as a dad, you are not perfect. The child is yours, and you need to love them. You have to love the child. It's yours unconditionally, no
So,
matter
Daddy,
what circumstances.
can I
Yes.
can I ask you then, so that we then now come back and I want to capture the points so that
Yeah.
we can then also just have a, what was the first one?
The first point that I spoke about was teaching the children to appreciate things. Showing them that they need to work for things.
Okay.
The second point was being open-minded. Knowing that they are different. You are different to them. Their likes might
Okay.
not be your likes. The third point is that a perfect parent needs to accept that his children aren't exactly like him.
Or the third point is that you need to accept that your children aren't exactly like you.
Yes. The fourth point
Okay.
says you need to spend quality time with your children.
Oh, that's important.
Quality time, not just time.
Yeah. And maybe can you talk to quality time? What does that really mean?
Experiencing things, not just sitting there and making sure that the child doesn't open the fridge, making sure that the child doesn't climb on the counter, the child doesn't break things, experiencing things. For example, my son loves playing the PlayStation with all his heart, and no matter how bad a day I had, how tired I am, if he says, "Daddy, let's play," I drop everything. You laugh with him, you beat him at a game, you let him beat you at a game, you experience things with them. You walk with them, we talk with them, you don't just exist.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
For me, that's what defines quality time. I don't know what your take on it is, Teddy.
No, I think over and above what you say, is also the fact that you need to shut the world out. Let it you and your child. Nothing else should matter except your child. And you kind of are attentive to what they are doing. Then point number 5.
Okay. Point number 5 says you need to lead by example.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Yes. Little to haga 5 when you wake up at 8.
You know, when you say that, especially little to her, a friend of mine, Ukedi Boni, we went to present a workshop. I think it was in the East Rand. And when we're there, then she's from her background with study is law. So she was explaining the difference between the law and rules. And for me, that just blew my mind. So with the law, it's saying the law has been drafted, the law has been set up, and the law is applicable to everyone, including those who legislated it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is no us and them. And then came to, I think it was the rules. Ne? The rules are, I, as the authority figure, set the rules, and then you follow. So in the home, as the parents, there are points in time where you set the rules for the children to follow. Ne?
Yeah.
And when you've set the rules, the other thing is you need to be consistent in those rules, in applying those rules. When you've said for everyone, maybe let's say for everyone under the age of 18, curfew is at this time. There must be no deviation. They must comply to the rules. But if you then say, in this home, everyone must be at home by 10 o'clock, right? It has now become the law. So everyone, including yourself, Daddy. So you then must lead by example. So your role is to be the one who is at home by 10 o'clock, no matter what's happening. And if you are to deviate, yeah, and if you are to deviate, you must also set a procedure on what happens when you find yourself in a situation where you cannot what's the word? Why is this whole? You cannot honor the law at that point in time, or you cannot meet the curfew. Then you must have a procedure and say an hour or 2 hours, an hour before, you must at least notify and give reasons for why you won't be there at that time. And then expect everybody else to do the same. So you're leading by example.
Yes.
So when you then say lead by example, I think it would then apply both with the rules and the laws of the home.
Nicely captured.
And then is there a next point?
Yes. A good dad must be supportive and loyal. You must know that there will be failure, and in failure, you must be loyal and supportive. There won't always be straight A's in class or 5 goals scored in a match or a win even. You must be loyal and supportive to your children. The next point speaks of challenge.
Sorry, when
the children.
Yeah. You're saying?
I was saying the next point speaks of challenging your children. I think I made the example with the Olympics attendance.
I kind of look it.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, much better.
I said
you were saying this point?
The next point
Or
speaks
the next
of
one.
Yes, speaks of challenging your children. You sort of like pushing them to become better as you do that, but there should be a line that you draw.
Okay.
And then there's another point that speaks of teaching our children lessons, not just letting everything slide, having consequences to actions, so that in life they know that. Okay, and the last point speaks of showing unconditional love.
showing unconditional love.
Yes.
I like that.
Mm.
Unconditional.
Unconditional. Through and through, all the
Oh,
time, no matter what.
eh,
Mm.
you know, when you talked about the late Daddy Prince, Enutsepang,
Yeah.
I kind of remember from the first time that I just got to know him. He has been there. He's always been supportive. There were times when Tsepang did not come first, or at times even second. But when the next year came and he needed to represent South Africa internationally, he never said, my son, last year you failed to come number one or number two, so this year you are not going." Ne?
Yeah.
Every time when an opportunity came, like, he would support, he would go
Yes.
all out.
Yes.
And and he would even be persistent on the funding, every time, without fail. Okay.
Yeah.
When it was training sessions, he even knew the techniques and how everything else should happen. And I think I learned a lot of lessons from that you support unconditionally.
Yes. Yes. Through and through, all the
Yeah.
time. All the time.
Through and
Isanaga,
I think it,
how you feeling?
and I think it comes, yeah, and I think it comes from the fact that you accept that this is your child.
Yes. Yes. Powerful.
I love these points, that you've shared.
Yeah.
I love them.
I think I'm not perfect with all of them, but it's a list to try and live by. Some of them, yes, I'm there, but yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think that rule and law explanation that you gave, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's another takeaway. Yeah.
Ne,
Mm,
you know, I can imagine children growing up without their fathers, and fathers who may never come across this conversation, that they would be missing out. And I hope that the people who will watch this will get to share this, with every dad, that every parent who is alienating the other parent can get to share this, and so that it just creates that awareness
yes.
that your child actually needs both parents, not just the one. And one is not important more than the other. They are both important.
You are depriving the child of something very great. You
Yes.
might be doing it to punish the partner, but you actually punishing the child as well.
Yeah. Your closing comments, Daddy, and then I would want to share. There's a video I want to share just after your closing comments.
I'd like to say to all the dads out there, let's all strive to play a role that is appropriate and that leads our children into acquiring or learning from our actions and not just from what we say. Let's not force things in. Let's coach our children. Let's be a great example of what a father should be. Thank you, Daisy, and thank you for the time. Um, I appreciate it.
I'm hoping next week both of you will be here so that then I can hand over properly. So this video is
You see what we are
by
doing?
Dove.
We are putting you on and on and on and on. It's a strategy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share this video of Menke.
Dove Men Plus Care. Care makes a man stronger. Share how care makes you stronger with.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Daddy, for your time. Good night, everyone. See you next week.